Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A. Just want to do a garden tour here of some of the patio stuff and the tropicals. So far, no frost. What is it, the 29th of September, I think, the end of September. Frost dates usually between maybe October 10th and or October 5th and October 10th is our average first frost date. But the average first frost date just means the point at which you have a 50% chance of frost. So that's the same for the spring for your last frost date. And then every day after that, your percent chance of having frost in the fall increases. So not uncommon for us. I think last year we didn't even have a frost. We went straight to a freeze, like at the end of October, maybe beginning of November. It was a really warm fall. So you never know. But there are some things that even if we don't have a frost, if we dip below 40 overnight, they'll get droopy. So, and some things might get nipped if we get close to a frost. It's pretty shielded here on the patio because it's between the two buildings. There's a lot of insulation from concrete, which absorbs heat during the day from the sun and then kind of radiates it back in the evening and overnight. The ledges and then just being surrounded by other plants also protects things. They're insulated versus if they were like out in a open space or something like that. So we really do have to have a true frost usually for things to die back or freeze. But if we get in the 40s, things like caladium, these tropicals, those will get droopy. And so I can start pulling those out. These little containers are filling in here in the back. This is the double up red begonia on the right. And then those are just some like 4-pack coleus in that little pot on the left. I had a begonia there that was dying, so I replaced it. I don't know what's up with this one this year. Normally this guy gets huge, but the stem's all rotted back and died back on it. Look at that. Can you see all that? So I don't know what's up with this. This is a tuber that I've had for a long time. And I don't, begonias, especially tuberous begonias, don't like a lot of watering because they tend to rot. So I usually let that dry out in between, and I've never had that issue, so not sure what's going on there, but anyway, this poor lantana. Last year I had this in more sun and it was enormous, and this year it stayed puny, although still got some color on it. Otherwise, the shade areas in particular are looking good. The magnificent Wicked Witch coleus. One single plant here. Starting to get some. They bloom super late. They're bred to bloom very late, and then the blooms stay extremely tiny. So there are other blooms on here, but you hardly notice them, even when they get bigger. So that is one great thing about Proven Winners coleus. But it looks like velvet, and I love these jaggy serrated chartreuse edges here. Hippo Estes polka dot plant also gets pretty big. The Proven Winners varieties get pretty big. I think they tend to be more bushy if they're out in the open, but mixed in, I like how they kind of mingle in with stuff in a mixed container arrangement. And I love this guacamole plectranthus. This is also one plant that's just, the pot is like back here and it's just spread out everywhere. That is one of my favorites. Mingled in with everything, so love it. The elephant ears keep putting out new leaves. Slower though, because they really do best in the heat. And we've had really warm weather, actually. It's been in the low 80s all week. Oh, it is sending out a new leaf. You see how the leaf like kind of shoots out from the stem like that, and then it'll unfurl. Kind of cool to see that. But those, well, they're not as frost or cold sensitive as the caladium, even though they're kind of the same family of plants, but they'll stop growing and then they'll get kind of brown. But that one usually, for me, it does take a frost to actually kill the foliage back. This poor canna lily, I think I'm going to try it in a different spot. It's done really well here for the past few years, but lately it's not gotten as big the last 2 years. So, and I just saved these rhizomes Again, frost kills the foliage. I cut that away and I dig up the root ball, knock off some of the dirt and stick it in a box in the basement for winter. And then in the spring, I go through and find the living chunks on the root, cut those out and plant those in pots. So yeah, so pretty. These Rex begonias all come inside with me, as I've said before. I do have perennials. This is how I kind of stash my perennials here. Like I have a Conocloa grass till I'm ready to plant them. A lot of times I'll collect perennials. Like there's a snake root over here that I know where it's going to go, but there's a pot there right now. So I'll collect perennials, and then I don't necessarily plant them until we get a frost and things in the landscape get killed, because it's like in the spring I'm planted annuals in those spots. And then I find like a good deal, or in the case of the snake root that was free from my uncle. This is a spider plant that I've had for many years, and it comes out here for summer vacation. It doesn't do well indoors because I am neglectful of my house plants. The hyacinth bean vine is getting, its leaves are starting to turn yellow, which I can fix that, or I can delay the dropping of the leaves. You see it how up top here you've got a bunch of well, now you're looking right into the light. Here we go. A lot of the bean pods that are dried going to seed. If I get up there and cut those out, and you can save the seeds, they come true to seed, then it'll start sending out new growth and it'll stop yellowing and dying back. So now it's gone to seed and it thinks its job, it's done for the year, so it's starting to die back. So I need to get in there and do that. I don't cut them out when they first form though, because look how cool they are, these bright purple bean pods. Come on, you can do it, camera. Or maybe not. There we go. And then the seeds look really cool. They're like black with a white stripe on them. So anyway, still pleased with the pink area. Actually turned out quite nice. This little Supertunia Mini Vista hot pink is looking leggy. I did cut it back. I should probably just cut this chunk off altogether. But that's petunias in my experience. Maybe if I kept up on them better, I wouldn't do that as much. But some of these still look fresh. Maybe it's because, well, no, the foliage still looks good too. Like this Supertunia Royal Magenta mixed in with everything over here. Still looks good. The Bermuda Beach looks good. Of course, I've been better about trimming branches on this one throughout the summer when it gets leggy. These Calibrachoa, this is the Super Bells, the Peruvian Winters Tropical Punch, or Tropical Sunrise, I think it's called. There was another one in there, but it just all of a sudden died. So I don't know what happened with that, but this one got a second flush. This was like the double, what's it called? Amber. No, not amber. Or is it amber? That was a newer from Proven Winners. Did pretty good. I had to cut it back hard. Now it's reflushing. There's a bumblebee there enjoying this Vermillionaire Kufia. You can see the kittens in the window. Hello, kittens. Just snoozing. I have been picking up clearance stuff. Home Depot has 50% off, so I picked up, this is Jack Frost, Jack of Diamonds, Brunnera, to replace some of the ones that rotted out. I'll definitely make sure to plant this high because they tend to sink, and these do not like to be waterlogged at all. I had many rot this year. This one, I picked up 2 of these because I planted one last year and it did awesome this summer. Dolce Silver Gumdrop Heuchera. So I figure they're on sale. Why not pick up a couple and make a little trio? As I was cutting back some grass, I had some Brunnera chunks, so I just potted those up. They're looking kind of sad, but Brunnera is super, super tolerant. So I think those will perk back up and root in. This is another Garden City tents. Everything was 50% off, although they're kind of priced up a little bit. They're not as cheap as Home Depot, so I usually wait till they go deeper than that. But I saw this beautiful specimen there. This was the only one of this variety, and I thought, you know, if they still have that when I go back, I'm just going to pick it up. And then when I went back, and they went to 60% off, so I thought, okay, it will be mine. Buttered rum heucherella. I have 2 or 3 of these already, and they also do great. Heucherella tends to do really well for me as well. So I'll plant that with the other ones. Don't look at this Persian shield. It's real crispy. This container's really hard for me to keep watered right now. It is so full of roots. This whole corner is looking not so great. Looking pretty tired. So maybe we'll look over here instead. I am going to overwinter some geraniums. I'll just take these in these smaller pots here. I'll just take these in like this and keep them as house plants. Last year I did that for the first time with 2 of them, and they defoliated quite a bit, but in March I'm usually able to put them out on the sun porch, out in full sun, because it's warm enough out there, and they came right back. So we're going to do that for a few of these. Love this dichondra, and the lavender is finally putting on blooms. I got this late season, 50% off French lavender. Smells so good. This was like all clearance stuff, but I love just this dichondra, how fast it grows, and it forms this like curtain. So cool. That one's Dichondra Silver Falls. The dahlia patch is looking pretty good. We've got the golden scepter blooming away here. Excuse me, we've got Blue Boy, shorter one. And then these are budded up, and I don't know what these are because I didn't label them properly. So I'm hoping they bloom and I can see what they are. The bees absolutely love these little dark ones down here. I forget the name of those, but those open-faced dahlias, they go crazy for them. And this is Gomphrena Carmine, QIS Carmine. I got a packet of seeds a couple years ago from Johnny's to try. And it is one of my favorite Gomphrena because it has these long, skinny stems. So you can kind of see it mingles with everything and sticks up about through other plants, which I love. But then it's also good for cutting because it has super long stems, and they last a really long time in a vase. I didn't really do any cut flowers this year yet, although I might. Usually it's like the end of the season when frost is coming, I go and I cut a bunch of stuff. This area also looks really pretty. I love this Dusty Miller, and it's mingling with the Euphorbia and these Caladium. Very pretty. And then I have this hosta that I need to plant. I was thinking about it today, but then I ran out of steam energy. So I did pick up a few things over here too. Bachman's, local nurseries to this area, are doing some sales on things. Spirea are 50% off, and I've been wanting the candy corn for a while. I've been eyeballing that, just didn't have a spot, and now I do, so I got one of those. I picked up another Anna's Magic Ball. It's kind of crooked. It's like planted crooked in the can, so you can see it's like sideways, but I will be able to plant it straight up and down if I just tilt the root ball. But Anna's Magic Ball Arborvitae, I have another one of these in the landscape, and I love it. And then this is the Stokes Aster. This one is new this year. I found one at Home Depot for half off. Totally Stoked Riptide. So I have a spot for that. Just have to wait for frost because our annual's planted there right now. Foliage area is looking good. I am just letting this go to flower now. I'm not going to try and keep up with this anymore. This is the Sedona Sunset Coleus. Probably my favorite one. Let's see. I think that's it for oh no, I have some other things I picked up too. I forgot down here. I got a Stacky's Humelo. It's a Stacky's like a lamb's ear, but not the fuzzy leaves, and it gets long pink flowers on it. That was a good deal. I think I showed this before. This is a milkweed, butterfly weed, the orange flowered kind. This was actually from last year. I just need to cut out some edges. It was a cat's pajamas nepeta. Speaking of cat, there's the mother cat. Probably using the garden as a litter box, but yeah. Hello. Things are looking pretty out here. I'm working on this edge still, trying to get this curve going bit by bit. I've killed my back doing this in years in the past, and I just don't want to do that this year. I don't want to be all tired out and a sore back all the time, so I'm taking my time. I get tired of the mosquitoes. This torchlight coleus is just absolutely beautiful. I'll want to repeat that. Really enjoying the Persian shield here in the landscape too, especially with the other blue. We've got the blue ageratum and the blue evolvulus, dwarf morning glory down there. Really love that. I did water this area today because we've been dry. Almost no rain at all in September. We're back in drought. Thank goodness we had a wet summer. That is the other silver gumdrop heuchera in there. And I think I will, this area is where the spirea is going to go. Somewhere over here. I love this patch of Rudbeckia though. I need to repeat this next year for sure. And these I started from seed. This is caramel mix Rudbeckia. I got that from Swallowtail Garden Seeds, I think they're called. Good selection. Canna Pretoria back here. This was an extra. It's putting out a bloom stock. This did surprisingly well. I did not expect this to get big back here. I thought it was going to get too much shade, but it has done great. And this is a better color. I think these are less stressed in the landscape for sure, but this is Sedona Sunset Coleus in more of its true color. The one on the patio is a little bit stressed at this point in the summer, so but I've been working on the edges over here. I'm slowly taking out this grass in this area. I have another of these overdam Calamagrostis to plant, so I'm kind of clearing this away. We've got blooms going. The wasps have been loving this. Almost done blooming, but the blooms on the Sun King Aurelia, they've been all over it. DeGroot Spire Arborvitae, it's looking a little dry. I did water, and I'm going to have to keep watering because we don't have any rain in the forecast. We had such a wet summer that after I planted it, the soil was so soaking wet, and it just kept raining and raining, so I didn't have to water it until now. This should not be red. This is a Bailey's Compact American Cranberry. Should not be this red this early. I'm pretty sure, like the other one that was planted by the I Am Groot Arborvitae, where the I Am Groot is now, I had a third Bailey's viburnum in there. I'm not sure if it was canker or borers. It kind of looks like the same thing, but it was girdled around the trunk of the plant and it died, and I'm pretty sure that's what's happening to this one. So not much I can do. I think I probably planted this either planted it too low, or in building up the garden, the level of the soil came up too far, and that will cause those issues. So just thinking about in case I've cleared some of the mulch away from the base of the plant, thinking about what I'll do in case it does die, whether I'll replace it or do something else. I'm not positive. But I did move some things over here. We've got the Eupatorium bone set. Love this Tithonia, getting lots of beautiful blooms. Bumblebees and butterflies love this. I've seen more monarchs this year than I have in the last few years, so that's been fun. Floating around. Butterflies love this one too, including monarchs. Shenandoah panicum over here. Got a little trio of them. So pretty pleased with how things are looking. I did sprinkle over in this area too, because everything's looking pretty dry. And I planted, the squirrels just love to dig in fresh soil. So this is the Gaillardia. I started that from seed. It is Arizona apricot. Gaillardia is kind of a short-lived perennial. I think in the wild or whatever in nature, you have big patches of them that last years because they keep self-seeding. And I had a few of these and they just kind of petered out over time. So, but in that little sunny spot, it's kind of funny. And these Japanese painted ferns now this year have been in full sun. I mean, they get a good 6 hours of sun in the morning, thankfully, not in the afternoon. But I'm surprised they did not get fried this year, so happy about that. This raspberry splash lungwort is looking much better than its little friend over on the other side of the garden. But yeah. What else? This is why I love these opening act phlox. Look at this. It is not full of blooms like it is early in the summer, or I guess midsummer, but it is still blooming. I don't think it's ever been without color. It's had more or less color at different times, but always in bloom. So that one's a winner. Peach Drift Rose, full here in its third bloom cycle of the summer. Just love that. Love those colors in this, and I love that I get 3 bloom cycles. And I was worried about it because the rabbits chewed. We didn't get enough snow to cover it this year, and I didn't think about covering it because normally it would be covered by snow and protected from the rabbits. But then we didn't get any snow, and the rabbits chewed it down to like nothing, to just little stumps. So I was worried it would set it back, but nope, it bounced back and got even bigger this year, so I'm not even going to worry about it. In fact, the rabbits did me a favor because I didn't have to prune it. Mom cat is moving in the shadows back there. The feral cats, and they are welcome to do it as much as they want. They go behind the plants along the shed because that's like a vole highway. The voles run through there, so they can hunt all the rodents they want. This Gomphrena, kind of cool. Now I'm forgetting what it's called. It's not fireworks, but it's a version of fireworks where it has those pink blooms with, they're like yellow dots on the tips of the blooms. So kind of a firework effect. But this one has chartreuse foliage, which I didn't think about it being against the chartreuse coleus, which is also, or hosta, which is also washed out due to the sun exposure this year. So kind of gets lost in there, but I would plant that somewhere else because that did pretty good. Cut back the white blooms on the deadheaded, the Noblessa yarrow rather, so that'll keep flushing until it gets killed off by frost. Limelight hydrangeas, or little limes, looking kind of fried this year, so we won't focus on that. That grass is another panicum. That is the, sorry, there's lots of sounds out here today. Neighborhood sounds and an angry squirrel. But it's beautiful weather, so I don't blame the wildlife or the neighbors for being out and enjoying this weather. That one is Cheyenne Sky. Love those seed heads. They're kind of purplish, and then they just wispy move in the wind. Of course, it's still right now, but this is Queen Lime Red Zinnia. And the Woods, I think, Woods Blue Aster over here. Late season bloom. Very important for the pollinators. Looking beautiful. That thing just gets huge. I said that before. Be warned. The tag says like up to 18 to 24 inches, and it's easily 3 feet across, even with me pruning it. I did cut back this. You can see the it's still not as bad as other phlox, but some of the fungal disease here, just because of our wet, humid summer. That this is the Luminary Opalescence phlox. And it didn't defoliate all the way, so even though this was kind of, the cards were stacked against it as far as mildew goes, but still did pretty good. I need to look Caprosmia or something like that. This little guy I got on clearance. Really cool. It kind of reminds me of a little euonymus or something, but likes wet soil, so I think I'll plant that if I can find it next year back here, because this is definitely wet soil. Cosmos are finally blooming. Back here, these are all self-seeded, just full of buds. And they're all pink. And that one is huge. Look, it's almost touching it's maybe a foot away from the roof there. So pretty. Bees, pollinators, butterflies, just absolutely love cosmos too. And most of these got blown over. Oh, there's Mama Cat again. Got blown over in the big thunderstorm with wind that we had, so not too shabby considering that. They are all staked up. And then this area too, I showed this I think last time. This is cool, all this pink. I like that. I just threw it together with sale stuff, extra stuff when the dahlias failed. Here's another vine that's self-seeded, the hyacinth bean vine, Ruby Moon. So I just let it take over the stakes that I had out here for the cosmos. I am getting some blooms on this dahlia. These were ones that I bought. I didn't buy any short ones, so I don't know what this is, but I had bought them this year and planted them, and just the wet weather just destroyed them. So they were all tall dahlias. But I dug up, they were rotted down to maybe one healthy tuber. The ones that had any chance of survival, I just plunked into pots back here with sale annuals, just in the hopes that maybe I would get a tuber that I could overwinter and try again next year. This is my favorite zinnia, Sahara Double Salmon. Amazing performer. Normally it would actually be bigger than this, but again, because of the really wet conditions over here and all the rain, it stayed pretty small and it was a little bit late to come out. But zinnias are just like kind of bulletproof. I do have some random Gomphrena. These were QIS mix, kind of pink, purple, lavender, and white. And I just save seeds now. They're really easy to save seeds from, and Gomphrena is very easy to start from seed. In fact, a bunch of these are the Carmine over here, a bunch of these self-seeded in a pot that was in the shed in the winter, believe it or not. There's a white one. So when the dahlias failed, I just plunked a bunch of randomness over here. Same thing like these marigolds, the 4 o'clocks. These are the other chartreuse plants, those self-seeded. And then I even have cosmos over here that seeded themselves. Little one full of blooms, and then this guy here is just about to open. Totally full of buds, so. Ooh, mosquitoes. Beans, past their prime. No, they're still putting out flowers, so I just leave those. And then I don't pull them out by the roots. When they die back in the fall or in frost, I cut them off and leave the roots in the soil and just kind of let them break down, mix them in the soil because they're good for adding nitrogen. As we know, legumes are nitrogen fixers as well with their roots, but it's helpful to leave the roots in the soil. These little marigolds doing good over here. They're having water fights next door. It's a nice warm night. Not hot, very comfortable. Funny. Zucchini I still got coming along. Actually, I need to harvest this one too. You can see kind of a big one down there. This variety, I can't remember what it's called. It was Seed Packet. Renee's Garden is the brand. I see those at garden centers all over the place, but more compact variety for containers, quote unquote, but it did terrible when I tried it in containers last year. So raised bed, if you count this as a container, it did well. But that just produced all summer. And then when they got big, they didn't get super, like the seeds aren't super tough. So we've still been able to use even the gigantic ones. And a lot of them I've even been able to eat raw. I usually eat them raw in salads. So that's pretty cool. This is Pesto Besto basil from Proven Winners. I grew one here last year and let it go to seed. And in fact, I collected some of the seedlings last year, so I'll do that with these. I just sprouted up in the spring. Free basil. I don't know, though, we had such a mild winter. Still seeing budworm damage, so I sprayed these again with permethrin. Hoping I can get those dang tobacco budworms. Harvested my potatoes. Disappointing harvest. Won't be doing potatoes again. That was their last chance, so not worth the time or the space dedicated to them to get such a small harvest. I did make a delicious potato leek soup last year, though. Carrots, I don't know. I'm not counting on. Last year I got 27 pounds of carrots in the fall. I'm not counting on as big of a harvest this year just because this is a new bed and I see the soil has sunk quite a bit. So it's still developing the soil health in this bed because it was brand new in the spring. So, but love all the marigolds and all the color over here. Still got peppers coming. Boy, I've had issues with earwigs though. Any pepper that has any little hole in it, they bite a little hole, they get through the skin somewhere, and then they just live inside the pepper. So I've had these peppers that look absolutely beautiful and perfect on the outside, and sometimes I don't even notice the hole. It's like in a crevice or something, and then I cut it open and it's just full of earwigs. It's disgusting. So if I see a hole, I don't even cut it open, I just throw it in the trash. Usually I can see little poops, kind of little insect poop around the hole. So this bed had my garlic, and now it is just clearance flowers and seeded flowers. Random stuff. Love this Superbena Red. I think it's just called Superbena Red. I grew that last year too, and it did awesome in a container. And I still have, I should do that tonight maybe. I have some lettuce that I need to harvest over here before it bolts too. These are different kinds of Salanova lettuce, which I really enjoy. Love this. This is the Tiara Blue Super Tunia, new next year. And an extra Carmine Gomfrina that I had actually planted where it was getting choked out, so I moved it over here. But otherwise, this was all just super clearance stuff after the garlic harvest. I go shopping for clearance plants and pop it in. I tried starting lettuce seeds. Usually I can sort of succession sow, but this year my third sowing did not take. And I was just busy with work and didn't want to try again, so I just thought, well, more room for flowers. Love the Fireball Marigold. The orange ones opened and bloomed in hotter weather. The red ones in cooler weather. So as the temperatures change, the blooms will change color depending on when they're in bud. A whole bunch of snapdragons here. I had extra seedlings, and then I got a bunch of 4-packs for like $1, 6-packs for $1 a piece, kind of in July. So I popped those in. Salvia, more marigolds. This basil has been amazing. This is the first sign of any mildew that I'm seeing, or anything on it. Those are the Emerald Towers basil. So I will be planting those from now on because they did fantastic. They haven't bloomed yet, and up until about a week ago they looked absolutely stunning. So, and I've been using them. I kind of forget about basil though. I need to plant it closer to the house too. More snapdragons from clearance, just clearance stuff. I don't know what I'll do over here next year. I got this cabbage did good. Everything, all the other vegetables I planted in here did terrible. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't think there's really anything to show up front. Nothing's really changed. I am really happy with this North Pole Arborvitae here, kind of in the back of this flower bed. That put on some amazing growth. So that might be something that I could repeat here instead of the viburnum. Put another North Pole. I'd have to, well, I have to trim back these 2 shrubs either way, but it'd be nice to have a little more evergreens back here. That's kind of my plan. Take out the grass behind this bed. And I want to maintain like a mulched walking path, but dot evergreens, tall, thin evergreens like Arborvitae yew. I don't think there's enough sun for juniper, although that would be nice. But just to have more of a backdrop, you know, a privacy screen, but also just, it's just a pretty backdrop. And in the winter, when all of these beautiful shrubs lose their leaves, you know, there's not much to look at. So, although I suppose it gives me pause because when we get really heavy snowfall, I do come out here with a broom and knock the snow off the, I mean, this thing will be split open and like laid out in multiple directions on the ground if that snow doesn't melt within a couple days. So I'll come out here and knock it off the branches. But I see a lot of mature shrubs around town that 2 summers ago when we got huge amounts of snowfall, like the branches have memory. If they stay like that for too long, sorry, I just had to swat a mosquito. It's like they form in that shape. So you want to get them, you don't want to wait too long to get the snow off so that they can remain upright. Otherwise, it's almost like they have memory in their branches, or they adapt to the new shape and they stay splayed open. And there are shrubs here 2 years later that are still like have big splayed open branches. This is another QIS purple gomphrena from, you see that mosquito land on my, how dare they? From my seed packet. That's just one plant. I had extra seedlings, and then this poor mum was tiny this year because of our warm, dry winter. So I really like that poking up. The purple ones are my favorite. I love that dark. It's very like saturated color. And then this one I really like too. I showed this many times, but this is the atomic purple with the white center there. Really cool. Drop my little microphone thing, swatting at a bug. Boy, the mosquitoes get bad. Nights when it's breezy, it is much better to be out here, but now that we're getting to dusk, ugh, not as bad on the patio, but they still drive me nuts. And I love this little patch, these 3 coleus colors together with the salvia, blue salvia bloom. It's really pretty. All right, I'm getting chewed up by mosquitoes, so I will leave you here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Please subscribe.